We still don't have a jingle.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come up with a jingle, but we can insert that in post.
Give us a jingle.
Shelf life.
Welcome back to Shelf Life. I'm Val.
I'm Leon. We're gonna be talking about If He Had Been With Me and If Only I Had Told Her.
Yes, we are.
I think it's been at least like 3 months since I read this book.
Okay.
Both of them.
Okay.
What
I think
did
I
you-
read both of them last summer, so.
Okay. Yeah, it's
We
been a
really
while.
got to read some more recent books.
Yeah, we do.
apparently. How are you, Leah? Give us a little update. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I just turned 21. Yeah,
Happy
so that was fun.
birthday!
Thank you. And I also just got an implant drilled yesterday, so I'm in the healing process. I'm doing okay though. How about you, Val? What's new with you?
Not a whole lot. I feel like I'm stressed. I feel
Yeah.
stressed. I just
Yeah.
moved my cats in to my apartment from my parents' house, so they're
Yes.
doing okay. They're
Good.
still a little scared, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like life has just been, there's just been so many changes in this last month. It's
Yeah.
like new apartment, new job, new everything. I'm like, I feel like I'm living a whole new life, but you
Yeah.
know, change is great.
It is.
Stressful, but it's great.
It is. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean that's our little. I don't know, because our podcast is technically about life and books.
Yes.
So there's
Yeah.
our life update that
Yeah.
nobody probably really cares about, but we like to think
Well,
some people do.
Yeah. We'll make sure to give you weekly updates
Yeah.
if there's anything interesting going
Yeah.
on.
We'll spill all
Uh-huh.
the tea.
Yeah. Yeah. No, our tea is our tea.
Yeah.
Only a little bit will get spilled.
Anyways. Okay, so for today's episode, like we said, if he had been with me, I guess we'll do a little book synopsis.
Mhm.
Basically, this book follows, what are their names? Autumn and Finn. Okay.
Yes.
Autumn and Finn, they are two best friends and they grew up together. Their moms were both best friends and their dads weren't really in the picture, so the four of them, like their families were really super close for all their lives until Autumn and Finn get to like middle school, high school. They kind of start to grow apart. And they just have different friend groups, kind of have different lives. Autumn is very much like kind of a misfit. She's like an outcast, sort of, hangs out with people who are similar that way. Finn is like very popular, same with his friend group. And so they just kind of grow apart, but they start to kind of find their way back together, and their friend groups have interactions between each other while they go through high school. And the book is kind of told almost, I want to say, kind of like diary style entries
Yeah.
a little bit. Like it's not written as a diary, but like to me while reading it, it felt kind of like a diary.
Oh, yeah.
Where Autumn is, you know, very much just talking about like her life in high school and her experiences in high school and growing up. So
I just really like the writing style as we discussed, and also like how she kind of outlined the book, like overall plot line. I thought it was pretty good, because that very first page, or like the first chapter, is like the car crash and essentially Finn dying, and then
spoil.
well, so you're not safe. There's a lot of spoilers. Should I not say it like that? It's hard because that's literally the first page of the book.
Yeah, okay, so spoiler alert. We're gonna spoil some things.
Yeah.
Okay,
You've
anyways.
been warned.
You've been warned. Finn dies.
Finn does die. And
And that's the end.
yeah, basically, he dies and they can't get together anymore. Page 1 is just, it opens up with the car crash and Finn's death. And then it's kind of like Autumn thinking back and like reliving her high school years, or like basically all the years that led up to Finn's death. And it's like she's almost second guessing herself, or like wondering what life could have been like if she would have told him her feelings, because they would have been together instead of Finn being with Sylvia.
Wow, good name recall. Yeah, I think that's right.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was crazy.
So, yeah, instead of him being with Sylvia, because they got into the crash together, because he was, like, taking her home, or he was breaking up with her.
Mm-hmm.
He was breaking up with Sylvia, and they got into that car crash. And so if Autumn and Finn would have actually, like, admitted their feelings, years prior, or even a few months prior, it would have been much different, because Finn would have broke up with Sylvia before getting in the car with her, or, like, he wouldn't have been in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the butterfly effect. And yeah, so I just thought the book was very interesting in that aspect, and, like, thinking about, like, parallel universes and how everything kind of affects everything else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and, like, Autumn doesn't, it opens with the car crash scene sort of thing, but you don't know that Finn dies for sure. I will say, I actually had this book spoiled for me because I thought that that's how it was told. I thought it was like, oh, you knew that he died. So I knew that he died before I even started the book.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
I don't know, it is what it is. But, yeah, I guess, so that's kind of like the basic synopsis of it and the spoilers of the ending.
Yeah. And then, If Only I Had Told Her is basically the opposite. It's just told through
Yeah.
Finn's perspective.
Yeah, and I guess we'll get into that one in a little bit, I think, because that kind
Yeah.
of follows directly after the
Yeah.
storyline.
Yeah.
So, like, what are your thoughts? What did you think?
Well, like I said, I really liked it. I don't know. I can't really remember enough, like, to critique, like, negative things or,
Okay.
like, downsides, I guess. Yeah, this book in particular, I feel like I liked this one better than the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd give it a 4. Yeah,
Okay.
a 4.
A 4?
Yep.
Okay.
And what about you?
Okay, so I agree with you. When I read this book, for whatever reason, I loved it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
I had a great time reading it. The ending literally, like, sucked my heart right out and then just, like, spat it on the floor. I don't know. I really liked it. It was funny because this is another book that after reading it and I was like, this was a great book and I'm recommending it to all my friends and everything. I hop online and I start doing all my little TikTok research and everybody's like, I fucking hated this book, and they're like tearing it to shreds, and I'm like, after reading like kind of what other people thought about it, like I get where the critiques are coming from. Like the writing style is unique.
Yeah.
It's very unique. And I will say nothing happens in the book until the end.
Yeah, that did kind of suck.
Yeah, but like for whatever reason, like I think I just liked Autumn as a character. I liked hearing her perspective. I love like a good like coming of age movie, especially. So like this kind of felt like a coming of age book where it's like nothing's happening, but it's like it felt so like nostalgic of like high school years that it was still like interesting to read. And it's also just like like Autumn and Finn are like meant for each other, so like you want them to get together, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like. Nothing happens, and I'm not gonna sit here and preach that it's like great writing style because it's not. But like, I still enjoyed it as a book.
Yeah.
I thought the ending was really great. I thought that the sequel was so wildly unnecessary, and I'm gonna be honest, the sequel was kind of a waste of my time reading it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. Yeah, the sequel is essentially like for the first couple chapters or maybe the first half, it's like literally the same exact thing that you read in the first book, but just told in Finn's perspective. So I guess I enjoyed kind of looking at the situation from both sides and like knowing how they both felt about each other in those same moments. But at the same time, like you're literally reading the same exact thing.
Yeah, and it didn't really add anything because it was like Finn loved Autumn too.
Yeah. So it's
awesome.
Yeah. And then that like the second half of the sequel is basically like telling about her life going forward, right?
Well, so it's told in 3 parts. So at
Okay.
first is
Oh.
Finn's perspective, then it's his best
Andy.
friend. Is it Andy? I don't remember. Jack.
Jack.
Yeah,
Jack.
then it talks about Jack because Jack and Finn were supposed to go to college together. So it talks about Jack going to college without his best friend, which I thought was honestly, that section of the book I thought was really hard to read.
Yeah.
It was very sad and very
yeah.
just like, I don't know. I'm like getting chills thinking about it again because it's just like, it was very disappointing and just, I don't know.
It was a very
Yeah.
sad book overall.
Yeah. And then the last part.
Is Autumn again. And because she got pregnant, right? Yeah. So isn't it her like raising her baby then?
It's her
Or is
getting
it
ready
right
for
before?
pregnant. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
She basically like rebonds with one of her friends that she kind of like lost contact with in high school who also had a baby, and they kind of like bond together, and she like kind of is coping with the loss of Finn, but then
Yeah.
also like preparing for
Finn's
having their
baby.
child,
Yeah.
which is such a wild turn of events.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess, like I said, compared to the sequel, I would definitely rate the first book a lot higher. I think I would give the sequel like a 2.5 or a 3.
Out of 5, you're talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when I first read it, I gave it like, if he had been with me, I think I gave it like a 4. I think in hindsight, I'm gonna give it a 3 just because like I did enjoy it, but like once again, the writing style, like it was just weird, like really truly, like nothing happened. I actually had a friend who read it, and she was like having such a hard time getting through it because she's just like, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
So I like looked up the chapter where things like it was like prom.
Yeah.
I looked at for prom.
Okay.
Which is kind of when like things start to turn, like with Autumn and her current relationship, and then Finn and his relationship with Sylvia. And I was like, okay, this is where you need to start reading. And she
Yeah.
just read from there to the end, and she was like, honestly, the story made perfect sense, skipping most of
Yeah.
the middle. And I'm like, yeah, that does not speak great to the writing. So I'm gonna give it a 3, probably. If only I had told her. I'm gonna give it a 1.5.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 1.5.
That's so critical.
I know,
But yeah,
it's
no,
so
that's-
mean.
It's valid though.
It just felt so unnecessary.
Yeah.
To me, it felt like a cash grab.
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I remember after I finished the sequel, I literally like put it down and I said, what the fuck did I just read?
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, I don't think it was necessary. I did really enjoy reading about Autumn and like her getting ready for her baby and that whole part of it, because it's like how she was coping with her loss of Finn and actually like, you know, embracing the fact that she was going to be a mother like with his child, because obviously like that has to be really hard. But I really enjoyed that, and also like Jack's perspective and him losing his best friend. It kind of just like showed you how different people grieve, and that was nice. But that whole first half with like basically just reciting everything that we knew between Autumn and Finn was completely unnecessary.
It just like pissed me off reading it because I'm
Yeah.
like, they were supposed to end up together.
Yeah, and I just don't understand why they waited so long to actually tell each other how they were feeling.
Yeah, it just
Like-
broke my heart. I'm
Yeah.
like, and especially like they had all summer together. They spent all summer together, and then all of a sudden they're just like, then they just one day randomly decide, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you guys had all summer. Like it just like, I don't know, it like hurt my heart because I'm just like, you're too young to be dying. You're
Uh-huh.
supposed to be together. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be happily ever after. And the second book was just like a really sharp reminder that that was not how it ended.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. What a
I just remember being really sad throughout the ending of that first one and then having to reread it again. I think I cried multiple times. Yeah.
I read it while I was at work, and So I'm like working at the front desk and there are people with me. So I'm like reading a couple pages and I have to shut it and like blink the tears away, trying hard not to cry. And I read a couple, like a little bit more, and I shut it again and try not to cry. I literally had to go home and just reread the ending because I just wanted to like cry and feel sad about it and like just experience it.
Yeah.
I thought the pregnancy twist though was like low-key a little unnecessary. Kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, they literally don't even mention that until 2 pages before the end of the book.
They hint at it the whole time, though, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it talks a lot about teen pregnancy throughout the entire book. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I can't remember that
I don't
in
remember.
detail, but it wouldn't surprise me that
It's
it was
also been a while, so
yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any, like, similar books you think to this one? I would say if you like a slow burn romance, like, this is definitely a slow burn romance.
Yeah.
It's sad and they don't ever, like, you don't really get a ton of payoff. You get, like, you know, maybe a chapter of payoff before Finn dies.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a slow burn for sure. I don't really have any similar books.
I'm thinking of, and I could be wrong, I don't know if this is a book or not, but like My Secret Life with the Walter Boys. Okay, yeah. So My Life with the Walter Boys is just a 1-season Netflix show. Basically same thing, where it's like kind of, I mean, it's more of like a love triangle though, instead of like the lovers who can't be together type of thing. Otherwise, similar TV show, I was thinking of Ginny and Georgia, between like Ginny and Marcus, and how they are clearly in love with each other from the very beginning, but they kind of pretend that they get together for a little bit, but then they pretend that they don't have feelings for each other because they have their own things going on. And that kind of sounds like how Autumn and Finn were, where they obviously were in love with each other, but they just didn't want to admit that to themselves or to the other person. Yeah, also the battery is going to die real soon.
Slay! All right, thank you everyone for listening. Our battery is dying, so we're going to end this real quick.
Yes.
But tune in next week for another episode.
Yeah, we have not picked our next week's book yet, so
Yeah.
guess
We're like
just-
ahead of the game.
Yeah, just stay tuned with our Instagram and we will release more details then, and we'll have our next episode to you shortly.
Yep.
Alrighty.
See ya!
Well, see ya!